Did you know that 75% of adults never actively learn anything new after finishing school? Meanwhile, the most successful people in the world, Elon Musk, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, all have one thing in common. They learn every single day. And that's no coincidence. Your personal growth is directly tied to how much you learn. Without new knowledge, there is no personal development. But here's the problem. Most people stop learning after school or college because they think, I already know enough, or they simply don't make time for it. But the truth is, if you're not learning, you're standing still. And if you stand still, you stop evolving, both in your thinking and in your life. In a world that's constantly changing, stagnation is the biggest setback. But how can you make lifelong learning a habit without it feeling like work? How do you make sure you're getting smarter every day without forcing yourself? That's exactly what I'll show you in this video. I'm going to share 5 scientifically proven steps to make learning a natural part of your daily life. No pressure, no complicated methods, just a system that feels effortless. This method will help you absorb new knowledge daily without it feeling like another chore. Your brain will start seeing learning as something positive, and you'll grow faster than ever before. And the best part? At the end of this video, I'll reveal a special hack that will help you not just consume knowledge, but truly retain it. So stay until the end. And before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, do it now. Thank you. Let's get started with step 1. Step 1. Develop the identity of a learner. Most people think they just need to learn more to become successful, but that's a misconception. The truth is, it's not your knowledge that determines your growth, but your self-image. If you believe things like, I'm just not the type of person who enjoys reading, or I'm bad at remembering things, you can buy all the books in the world, you'll never stick with it. Successful people, on the other hand, have a different mindset. They define themselves as learners. They don't see learning as a task, but as part of who they are. Psychologist Dr. Carol Dweck from Stanford University studied the concept of a growth mindset. Her research shows people who believe they can improve in any area are far more successful in the long run. They don't see mistakes as failures, but as feedback. They understand learning isn't a talent, it's a decision. But how do you change your mindset? The first step is how you talk to yourself. Instead of saying, I'm bad at XYZ, start telling yourself, I learn something new every day and I keep getting better. Your subconscious follows your words. What you repeatedly tell yourself becomes your reality. But words alone aren't enough. Your brain needs to see learning as a natural part of life. The easiest way to do this is by collecting small wins. Instead of pressuring yourself to study for hours every day, focus on gaining just one new insight daily. It could be an interesting fact from a conversation, an idea from a podcast, or a thought-provoking question. It's not about how much you learn, it's about proving to yourself every day, I am someone who grows and evolves. And this is where real personal development starts. Because once you see yourself as a learner, growth becomes automatic. Now that you've built the identity of a learner, let's talk about how to get smarter without pressure or overwhelm. Step 2 shows you exactly how. Step 2, use the 1% rule. Small steps, big impact. Most people try to learn too much at once. They set big learning goals but get overwhelmed and quit. That's because our brains are wired for habits. Big changes feel like too much effort. But what if I told you that you could improve by almost 38 times without ever feeling overwhelmed? This is the 1% rule, a strategy based on James Clear's research. His principle? If you improve by just 1% every day, you'll be nearly 10 times better in a year. That's because small daily improvements compound, like interest in a bank account. But most people fail because they expect immediate results and quit too soon. The solution? Many steps so small that you can't make excuses. Instead of planning to read an entire chapter, just commit to reading 1 page. Because the hardest part isn't learning, it's starting. Another trick is to integrate learning into existing habits. Listen to podcasts while driving, watch inspiring videos like this one, instead of mindlessly scrolling on social media. Every small tweak counts. You don't have to be perfect, just consistent. This is where personal development really happens. Successful people aren't the most talented. They're the ones who stay consistent. And that's exactly what you achieve with the 1% rule. Now that learning is becoming a habit, the next question is, how can you make it even easier? The answer lies in your environment. Let's tackle that in step 3. Step 3, optimize your environment. Make learning the easiest option. Most people underestimate how much their environment shapes their behavior. They think they just need to try harder to learn, but in reality, willpower is limited. And if your surroundings constantly distract you or pull you into old habits, you'll never stay consistent. Or BJ Fogg, a leading expert in behavioral psychology, confirms, it's not motivation that drives our behavior, but what's easily accessible in our environment. If learning is the easiest option, you won't need to force yourself. It will happen automatically. So how can you set up your environment to make learning a habit? The first step is to reduce distractions. It's no accident that you pick up your phone and suddenly waste 30 minutes on Instagram. Your brain always takes the easiest route, so make sure learning is the most accessible option. Practical steps. Put your phone away when you want to learn. Use Do Not Disturb mode or set dedicated learning time. Place books in visible spots. If you see them, you're more likely to pick them up. Curate your digital feeds to inspire you. Remove distractions and replace them with valuable content. Another powerful factor is role models and community. We become the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. If your environment isn't growth-oriented, it will be harder for you to improve. But if you surround yourself with people who constantly learn and grow, learning will become your new normal. That's why my tip is consciously seek out inspiring people, whether through books, mentors, or online communities. Now that your environment supports your learning, one thing matters most, not just absorbing knowledge, but truly understanding it. Step 4 will show you how. Step 4, the Feynman Technique. Understand knowledge faster and deeper. Most people believe they've learned something just because they've read a book or watched a video. But when you ask them to explain what they've learned in their own words, they struggle. And that's exactly the problem. Because knowledge alone is useless if you don't truly understand it. Real learning isn't just about absorbing information. It's about internalizing knowledge so deeply that you could teach it to someone else. And this is where the Feynman Technique comes in, a method that allows you to understand any topic faster and retain it for the long term. The physicist Richard Feynman, a Nobel Prize winner, asked a crucial question. If you can't explain something simply, have you really understood it? And that's the key. The clearer you can explain a concept, the deeper you have truly grasped it. Imagine you're learning about a new topic. Let's say how the human brain works. Most people would memorize a bunch of complicated terms and then assume they understand the subject. But the moment they try to explain it to someone else, they realize they're missing the right words. And that's when it becomes clear whether you've truly learned something or just collected information. The Feynman technique is simple. Take a topic and explain it as if you were teaching it to a child. No jargon, no complex wording, just simple and clear explanations. If you struggle, that's a sign of your knowledge gaps. And the best part? This technique works for any subject. Whether you're learning a new language, studying psychology, or building a business, if you can't express your knowledge in simple terms, you haven't really understood it yet. But why is this so crucial for your personal growth? Simple. Only when you actively apply knowledge does it change your thinking and actions. Reading books alone isn't enough. You need to internalize, reflect, and integrate the insights into your life. That's why this technique is so powerful. It forces you to think actively instead of just passively absorbing information. It helps you grasp new concepts faster and apply them to different areas. And it ensures that you don't just store knowledge for the moment, but retain it in the long run. Now that you truly understand knowledge, there's only one thing left, making learning so enjoyable that you'll never want to stop. And that's exactly what our final step is about. Step 5, the dopamine hack. Make learning addictive. This is it, the hack you've been waiting for. I teased it in the introduction, and now you'll understand why it can completely transform the way you learn. Because the biggest problem isn't understanding, it's staying motivated. Why can you scroll through social media for hours but struggle to sit down and learn something new for just 10 minutes? Why do so many people give up quickly while others seem to stick with it effortlessly? The answer lies in dopamine. Dopamine is the chemical that drives your brain. It makes you feel good when you achieve a goal, but also when you get a like or a message. Our world is full of artificial dopamine hits that give instant gratification, but don't help us grow. But what if you could use dopamine to make learning just as rewarding? This is where the dopamine hack comes into play. Studies by Dr. Andrew Huberman show that your brain isn't just rewarded when you achieve a big goal. It releases dopamine with every small step forward. And that's the key. As soon as progress becomes visible, your brain releases dopamine. So it's not about achieving huge successes, it's about recognizing small wins. Instead of telling yourself to read more every day, just commit to writing down one key insight from a book. Instead of aiming for fluency in a new language, just say one sentence out loud today. Every time you check off a small task, your brain gets a dopamine boost, and learning starts to feel good. And that's why successful people use gamification, adding game-like elements to non-game activities to boost motivation and engagement. They set small challenges, reward themselves for reaching milestones, or track their progress in an app. Learning doesn't have to be boring. It can be an experience. Now you have all 5 steps to turn learning into a lifelong habit. You've learned that your identity as a learner matters, that small steps create sustainable change, that your environment plays a massive role, that true knowledge comes from active understanding, and that dopamine is the key to staying motivated. But in the end, there's only one thing that matters. What will you do with this knowledge? Let me know in the comments which step made the biggest difference for you. And if you're serious about improving your personal growth, get my ebook and exclusive worksheet. The link is in the video description. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Good luck on your lifelong learning journey. See you in the next video.